Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ghana Goddess Out Where. Hi, Geminis. Do you love your shoes or what? Woo! That's that. Fun-loving, duality, twins, lovers in tarot, Geminis. My best friends. I have Geminis in my chat, so I have some Gemini in me. I'm split too, as we all are. But we all know that's higher minds. It's deeper than that, right? So happy birthday to all my Gemini friends. Happy Gemini season is almost over. The full moon was on Wednesday. Like I told you guys, I don't have to do the full moon reading because I'm not channeling on the full moon for any specific reason. So I can do it when I get ready. Yeah. So how's everybody been doing? Adwa has been doing Adwa. Artwork, mommy duties, house duties, cooking duties. My fun is television. I binge watch a whole show in maybe 4 days or something like that. Blind spot. You know, we Leos, one of our biggest problems is because we shine so bright and we're like the sun, we shine light on the blind spot. But the other aspect of Leo is that we can't see our blind spot, okay? Because we're so light, think of the sun. We are looking at everything in like clarity, and I want to see everything to the point that we refuse to see the shadow, or we just don't see the shadow, or we shine the light on the shadow, which other people don't like because we get blunt, we speak it as we see it. Oh, it gets dicey, and people don't like you because they think you're arrogant for speaking your truth, or they think you are saying what you're not supposed to say. Can you keep quiet, Leo? Can you shut up, Leo? No, it's a Leo's job to let you see what you don't want to see. That doesn't mean that when you tell them what they don't see, they don't take it. As far as I can tell, when you tell me my shadow, I'll deal with it. But I'll analyze it and make sure you're on point. Anyway, what we're gonna talk about today, my peoples, hey? Hey, you like my Gemini dress? Woo-hoo. Everything is twin, balance. Everything is like, I did the whole concept is symmetry, all right? Symmetry. And you dealing with your dark and light shadow. Everything has to do with Gemini here. Everything I'm wearing here is Gemini to you, okay? It's dark and light. You facing your God and your devil self, all right? Understanding your mind, your hemispheres, but there's a third wheel, which I'll be talking about today, right? The third part, which is the other objective aspect of the mind, which I feel is the higher mind, which I feel is the God mind, which I feel is the super above all, because you need a neutral person, just like a judge would need a neutral person to understand the situation between two people. So it makes sense that in order for you to solidify the third house, which is Gemini number 3, you have to be objective. You have to be able to come out of, I don't know what I'm going to do. Yes, I'm going to do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, I'm confused. Oh, they're telling me this and all this mind and your mind. You have to stand out of it to be able to see it, right? So I will be talking. Interesting enough, you will be surprised, but I will be talking about detachment. And the twin sister of detachment is adaptation. It's going to be an interesting topic, but it's a powerful spiritual process. In fact, one of the highest spiritual processes that if you're trying to develop yourself and step into your divinity and your divine essence, you have to learn the art of detachment. But you have to understand also that adaptation is the other side. So as you're adapting to something, you also have to learn that you have to learn to detach as well. So learning and understanding, but still existing, right? It's duality is in all things, and we have to break it all down in different ways so we can understand it. All right, this is practical spirituality. This is practical divinity. We are in the era where we're not looking at divine essence as something beyond us, something that is so above the clouds, right? It's above that blue sky. No, we understand that divinity is in us. That's what we see outside of us. What's in is out. What's up is down. Everything is duality. All right. So I will be talking a lot about this today. All right. And then if I have energy left, like I always say, I will do a tarot card reading. Now, I'm going to channel whatever comes. I also channel messages, but I don't know if this energy of mine will handle 3 hours today. So we'll see how that goes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to die. I'm about to serve. But in order for me to serve, I have to manage my energy. I can't do it all at once like that. If I do it, I do it. If I don't, people. Take what you get, leave the rest. Some of you don't even watch all the video. So why am I even stressing? Somebody's watching, and for who's watching all the way from the beginning to the end, thank you. You make my all of this worth it. All of this, but it's worth it for me because when I'm dressing up, when I'm designing, I'm in my higher self and I'm in a place of peace, love, joy, and I'm in a creative energy, all right? I'm in a productive energy, but I'm also tapping into the creative, the creation, which is divine essence. So to share that with me, to enjoy my clothing, to enjoy how I put myself together, to make it, stand here, and then also express myself and talk to you means a lot to me if you watch it all the way from beginning to end. But it's for me, and I'm sharing myself with you. So I hope you enjoy me today. Hopefully this yellow and green and all this, sunflowers and all this summer coming up is going to make me feel a little bubbly than the last time when I was in the dumps like dumpster dumps. I'm so, I'm cancer rising, so I have water and fire fighting against each other. So I'm emotional, and yes, and I'm strict, and yes, I'm masculine, and yes, I'm feminine, I'm all of it. I'm the child too. Don't think I'm crazy because I'm acting like that, okay? Get it right. I'm just a bubbly girl. If you don't like it, sit down. Take a back seat. Take several seats back. Get the third row down there and sit your crotch down. And listen. Oh, God. I love you all. And you know I'm a little... I'm a little too much today. But this is me. Sometimes I'm too much. Sometimes I'm like... Sometimes I'm like... Yeah. Sometimes I'm like... That's human life, right? You are everything, and that's what you need to understand, man. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not multi-personality disorder. Don't put that on it. It is life. Not being black and white. Being colorful. Being colorful. Enjoying all the spectrums of you. That is what it is. And I'm a big child when I want to be. And I'm a grown-up when I want to be. I'm a god when I want to be. A goddess when I want to be. An intellectual when I want to be. And that's all right. Right? So let's do it, Gemini. You brought me out. Woo! That's why I love you guys. But I hope you enjoy your shoes. I can't wait to showcase all the shoes. Alright? I want the dress to be seen, but the showcase is really bang. The twin shoes. Love you all. Mwah. I'll see you in the conversation. And perhaps maybe tarot. Hi everyone. Thank you. To welcome to Ghana Goddess at where? But you're dealing with the oracle, right? So you already know. Let's get into it. I already gave you my introduction, so I'm just gonna kind of get into it. I made me some homemade lemonade and it's banging. But I don't put sugar, I put honey. Alright? Gotta clear that throat. Let me clear my throat. Let me clear my throat. You guys remember the 90s kids? You know that song. I don't know. I can't do the other ones. I don't rap. That's one thing I can't do. I think I can write the song, but I don't think I can rap ever. Anyways, let's get to it. So, once again, you're welcome. Happy Gemini season. This is about the third house. If you don't know the fundamentals of the third house, I implore you, I tell you, I invite you to watch some of my older videos all the way maybe to last year. Alright, when I actually give the fundamentals of what the third house is and a little bit of, the Gemini, the sign Gemini, alright, in astrology, just the basic information so that you can build on the information. So with this information, it's going to be a little bit step higher where we go a little bit into the spiritual aspect of the third house, into the Gemini, one aspect of it. And I think it's connected because The only thing that really makes it connected is looking at the other side of Gemini, which is Sagittarius, in the opposite sign. Sagittarius is about expansion, right? The rider is Gemini, the communication house, the explorative house, curiosity house, and gathering information and studying. And then you write your information and you analyze the information and you put all your findings down. That's mainly the Gemini, an aspect of the Gemini which deals with a lot of the mind, right? And then Sagittarius, being the opposite, is the one that's what take the concept into a higher level and to see it in a bigger aspect, in a broader sense, and to make it more meaningful to the masses, right? Make it bigger. Look outside the box. Take that concept you found by the roadside and now make it bigger than what it is. Make it more higher in thinking, more meaningful to the masses. And then it's also the house that will publish the book, right? Because the house of publication. And so thinking outside in different systems, thinking through spirituality, thinking through mental and the soul and through the physical. This is all part of this conversation here. But what I wanted to say was that one magical aspect that I'm going to deal with today is the process of what? Detachment, understanding detachment, learning it in the spiritual sense, and also understanding adaptation. All right. In a way, it's still connected to both houses. All right. And the reason why adaptation is sort of embedded and detachment is sort of embedded in Gemini is because it is the number 3 of manifestation, solidifying concepts. The concept of both minds, both hemispheres, negative and positive, the twin aspect, right, which is dualities in things, and you having the higher mind to step back, which is the third part of it, making it solid, making it understandable, right, and bringing the information together, bringing unity into the whole thing. That unity is intense, right? It's what we can also call manifestation, solidifying two different things to make a concept. A man and a woman bringing a child. So the number 3 is so symbolic in so many ways. But for what I'm going to talk about is definitely about understanding how both minds work, right, by detaching, and the opposite of detachment being adaptation. So that's the only thing that I'm like thinking I need to say to make you understand why it's connected to Gemini at this point. If I think of anything else, obviously there's so many reasons why it's connected, but I can't say all of it today because I have a whole lot to talk about. So let's quickly move into why detachment is part of the spiritual process in the first place, right? I found myself that I think I'm going to be doing some reading today because I just might, all right? So the act of detachment is the fundamental spiritual practice used to slowly induce the concept of accepting death as part of life. You understand why I have to read? I was channeling information this morning after my meditation and I wrote a lot, and I don't know if I want to speak. Sometimes the concept comes out and I just speak sometimes. And most of the time I speak it and summarize it and talk to you. But today I feel like I'm going to read. So don't get bored with the reading. I'll find a way to make this interesting for you, darlings. All right? So let's get into it. You got the first part, right? The act of detachment is the fundamental spiritual practice. It's one of the fundamental spiritual practices, what I need to say. One of the spiritual fundamental practices used to slowly induce the concept of accepting death as part of life. Got that? Because when you're detaching from your physical self. You're detaching from things that make you human. Sex. Learning the act of detaching from sex. You're being in love. Loving someone and yet living without them. And being able to contain without them. Not becoming codependent, for instance, is what I'm trying to say. So bringing this into the concept of inducing death as part of life is because when you're detaching, in a way, you are not living. So you are dying in living, in a way. I don't know how else to put it. But how I channel is how I'm saying it, okay? And as I speak, you understand what I mean by that. I feel like it's one of the most important, delicate, dangerous concepts to really master in the mind when it comes to spiritual practices, okay? Because when you accept death, really, as part of what existence, you border on the lines of suicidal thoughts sometimes. All right? If this is too sensitive for you, don't watch me, because I'm not going to talk about that all throughout, but it's here, okay? And it's part of the concept that you need to understand. Because why? When you understand that death is part of life, and then you are meant to die, and that is part of the process of you going into the higher self, and then regathering yourself and deciding whether you want to come back to earth or coming back to the physical, right? You know that it's about death, life, and what? Death, life, and what? Death, life, you're going in that circle. You're in that wheel of life, right? The infinite wheel of life. You're coming in different ways, different manners, with different story, whatever. You're coming for different reasons. But the point is you're dying and living and coming back, going back and forth, right? In physical and in the spiritual sense. Okay, so with that being said, someone who is highly who've understood the spiritual process of that really not being a bad thing, that person, the reason why it becomes a little dangerous, that person can easily say, you know what, I'm tired of this. I don't want to be on this wheel anymore, right? If I'm going through a lot, I'm either going to numb myself or get into bad practices that's going to take me out of temporary suffering, which addictions come in. Or some people will go as far as saying, okay, I'm going to, leave. And that becomes a problem. But someone who is really understanding the principles of life would not say they're going to leave. If the time comes, they will leave, they will accept it, right? They will accept it. But they will never say they'll leave. What they will say is, I have to learn to detach from this situation because it is not me. It is an experience that is helping me to understand something, to move to the next level. And it's also the integral part of life. And so I cannot allow this situation, this man, this woman, this money problem, this illness to kill my spirit, to kill me and break me down. That's what I mean. All right? That is how a true divine person thinks, with that understanding. So whatever we're doing it in moderation and in balance, right? That's what that means. So it's a very sensitive aspect of your psyche that you must understand. All right? You must understand that as you're living, you're dying. And I know that people do, but I'm speaking my speech today. So understand that I have to break it down in the process where you will see the seriousness of what I'm saying. So I have to give you the facts of what I know, or what I channel, what comes through my Godhead. Okay? So, it's just the way it is. I'm going to go off the topic a little bit, but it's all bringing everything together, okay? So let's go. When you experience a near-death experience, or maybe actually see somebody die in your life that you really love, right? They stop breathing. That's the bottom line. They stop breathing for a little bit if it's a near-death experience. All right? If somebody dies, they just stop breathing. What is it in the breathing? I feel like swimming is one of those ways you can understand. Like if you're able to master swimming and breathing underwater, you can tap into consciousness very well. Or the concept of detachment, or understanding death a little bit on some level. And I'll tell you why. Because in meditation, the fundamental process, the beginning process of you going into deeper consciousness, beta, I forgot the other, theta, the levels, or all the way to the depth, the highest consciousness, starts with you breathing and learning to manage your breath and holding the breath. How long can you hold your breath? During that time that you're holding your breath, you're opening the doors to spirit. All right, and you need to understand that. That's why I brought swimming in as an example. You're definitely opening up the spiritual doors. All right, I was able to kind of speak it without reading it. So let's move to the next point here. And I said, don't get water, die. This is gonna be cool. You're gonna get the point once I put it all together. Once I keep talking, keep listening. So managing the breath, right, and holding it in for as long as you can is opening the spiritual doors, like I've already said, right? So it is the beginning, breath, and you like detaching from yourself, breathing, all that stuff is the what? The beginning process. All right? The beginning process of dying. Dying so that the vibration of death is actually spiritual. Right? It's spiritual. That's why the winter months is considered the spiritual months. It's also connected to the north, which is all in the direction of spirit. So when you go into sleep, the reason why you have to go to sleep at night is because that's when you are in your spirit being. That's why those of us that are spiritually awoke, our dream world is colorful. It's like when we wake up, our souls wake up, and that's when our souls is also living and doing things on the astral planes, different dimensions, traveling to different places and coming back into the body. In matter of fact, this is bringing me to an experience I had during this Gemini season. I had two experiences, out-of-body experience, which I haven't, every time you go to sleep as a spiritual being and you're dreaming and going to astral planes and different dimensions, you're leaving your body. That's an out-of-body experience, period. But you become so used to it that you don't always see it happening. So basically, I've only seen it a few times since my awakening. And during this Gemini season, I literally saw myself leave my body. And it hasn't happened in years. The first time I experienced that was the beginning of my spiritual ascension. For me to see the process, you literally leave this body and come back in. It seems like you are asleep, but you are not. You're asleep here physically, but you are in a different world, a spiritual world. So sleeping is important. If you're using sleeping, then you're living in both spirit and in physical. Only when you are awakened can you see that during your sleep state, a lot is going on, right? So it's like the baby step starts from you utilizing your sleep time. So if you induce yourself during sleep time, which a lot of spiritual people do, use that as a form of manifestation, anything they want to know, explore, whatever, any dimension they want to explore, any question they have, if they ask themselves that after they've opened up their third eye, their spiritual essence, and they ask themselves that before they go to sleep, they will actually experience the answer and everything in the state of sleep. Why is that? Because you are in a different world. You're in a spiritual world. Trust me, everything is coming together with the detachment. Okay? I know what I'm talking about, so stay with me. So you understanding the sleep is a form of death, right? We all know, science even says it. It's a form of death. Death is spiritual. So when you start to understand that death is spiritual in a way, the baby steps or part of integral aspect of spiritual, then you understand that you're made, okay, your essence is made to integrate life and death together. That's why I tell you everything is duality. As you're living, you're dying. Life is death. Death is life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, you do. You get it. When I talk about duality, there's no section of life without death. So even when you're living, oh, I'm alive, every night you go to sleep, in a way, you are dying. You are training your body, you are teaching your body, and you are inducing death. You are. Spiritually, that's how I'm going to speak it. If this subject is too heavy for you, go to bed. And if you are loving it, enjoy it with me, because this is a concept that is beautiful to understand. You have to be strong to embrace this concept. It's a spiritual vibrational concept that every awakened being needs to develop and need to understand that it's part of it. That's why you can't be spiritual and say, I'm afraid of spirits. Are you serious right now? You can't be afraid of the dead people and the spirit. You're a medium. That's what it is when you're waking up. You're becoming a medium as well. Okay, let's get back to the information. So detachment is the mastery or the mastery of detachment is the seed, or can be seen as the seed of preparing you to embrace you integrating your spirit self whilst you live in the physical body. You get it? I've come to my point. I've made my point. As you're living, you're dying. As you're loving, you're hating. Because what happens when someone you love does you something? The ones that you love so much is the one that has the ability to kill you. Is the one that when you leave them, you can hate them with a passion. The intensity of passion that was for the love can become the same intensity of hatred. Some people say, how can you hate someone you love? I'm sorry. You can. You can end up hating someone you love because it is integral to the love. It is part of it. It is the other side of the coin. I know it's hard for you to believe, but it is. Understand, you have to take yourself out of what you've been conditioned to believe to understand what I'm saying if you don't understand it. And I'm going to move on because those who understand, and they are ready for me to continue speaking instead of dwelling on this simple, silly concept. It's a fundamental concept. All right? Maybe I shouldn't say silly. That makes me sound a little, whatever. Let it be. So let's go. All right, so one of the most difficult lessons of growth on the spiritual ascension path is to realize that life and death, love and hate, the duality of everything embedded in everything is the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is everything is embedded in everything. God and the devil are one. I cannot say that. You are crazy. Am I? Whatever. One day, you thank me. Anyway, let's move on. All right, example. You know how people say, oh, I've already said it, so let's move on. Let's move on. This is fun. This is a Gemini, the lower, is the beginning of the understanding Gemini on a higher level. You see what I mean? The duality, the two sides of the coin. The two sides of you, the light and dark of you, the yin and yang, which is what I'm wearing today, everything that I'm incorporating into this concept. It's the fight to find the balance. It's the fight to be the third wheel. It's the fight to be the Godhead, where you can see things objectively. People don't like, in tarot, people don't really like the Queen of Swords because she sets boundaries. And she is not thinking from her head anymore. She's not thinking from her heart anymore. She's actually looking at things objectively, which means she's tapping into her mind, using her head more than her heart and her emotions. It is an integral part of the higher self. All right. So people don't like you when you set boundaries. People don't like you when your no is your no. People don't like you when you see things from both sides and you can still make a decision that makes sense. But that is a very powerful, cold place to be. And so a lot of people don't like being there. People would like to jump on the bandwagon with the people who are saying yes, or the people who are saying no, than to say, I don't know, or I don't want to. Actually the answer is yes and no, and the third answer. It's hard to be in that level because it is a higher level. All right? So detachment can be seen as that higher level, right? Because that's how you're going to save yourself. That's what you're learning. You're learning to detach from yes, no, and maybe so. Basically, you're learning to step out of, I don't know, I know, but what else can it be in this? And what is the point of this and that? And what is the point of this and that? And what can we do? And how do we rise above this? When you are in pain, you are suffering. When you are in love, you are enjoying. When you're detaching, you are experiencing, you understand, and you're experiencing both, preparing yourself for that third place. So, yes, you are in love, you love, and you know that this love can easily turn into hate. You understand the other side of the love, right? depending on the intensity or whatever. It doesn't have to be that straightforward, but that is the opposite of love. Is hey, we have to cut through the whatever and speak it as it is. We're adults here. I don't have to sugarcoat anything for you. I like being plain when I'm being frank. So you are stepping out of, okay, love and hate, understanding the situation. You are in pain. Yes, you may be experiencing a heartbreak or something at the moment. As an example is a relationship, okay, because it's one of the hardest things. All right. Believe it or not, this decision making is also a big problem. But let's say you're experiencing a heartbreak. How do you come out of the heartbreak? How do you heal yourself? Through detachment. One of the process you can do it is through detachment. How do you understand detachment? Is to see the pain and the joy and realize that you're supposed to still maintain and still be all. So the third wheel, the third aspect of this situation is to come out of it, looking at all of it, or even experiencing the feeling and knowing still how to function in your God essence by seeing it in an objective way. You know what? It's one of the difficult things to do. Some people will go and drink. Some people will go and jump into another love to be able to counteract the pain of the other love that didn't work immediately. Some people will get into alcoholism. Some people will get into all kinds of stuff. All right? In this discussion, there are 12 ways at least through the astrological houses where we are all experiencing a form of detachment. Okay? We're learning. It's integral to our growth process here on earth. Some of us is through detaching from our family. Some of us is through detaching from our children. Some of us is detaching from our projects, our things that we love doing. Detachment is happening on so many levels in different ways. At least on the physical level, I can say at least 12 different ways. As you put it, the system that I'm telling you, you run that information through the 12 houses, you see all the ways where you could be practicing detachment. And it's different for everybody. But the reason why it is embedded in us and it's part of us is because it is part of the core principles of the universe. Let's say whatever the fundamental rules to keep the earth alive, to keep humans alive, to keep spirit continuously and infinitely living, one of the rules that hold it together is detachment. Who can be the best who is the person that you think is the greatest form of detached person that practices it a lot? Everything is practicing detachment. Example, Mother Earth. Mother Earth will cause an earthquake. And it will kill a lot of people. And on some other part of Earth, it looks like paradise. Why is that? Why doesn't that seem like an injustice? Within Earth, there is the dark and light in Earth, right? So doesn't that seem like an injustice? No. But what if Mother Earth is saying that I have to bring this earthquake here to bring balance and to bring things into the third area of the Godhead, into divinity, into spirit? By detaching from the pain of my children that live there and of the distraction that comes from all that, because I know that for the highest good, everything has to maintain in some form of balance. And when things go out of whack for a long time, I have to cause an earthquake. Or I have to, let the water come and flood the place. Something like that. Let's just say that. Everything is practicing detachment. Even the air, the fire, the four, seasons of earth, that we are going through all the time is all a form of detachment, because the sun has to give way for the winter, for the snow, whether it likes it or not. So the sun has to detach. As much as the sun wants to show up every day, the sun has a season. Though it shines in winter, so that's not a very good example. But still, in a way, the sun is in death. Metaphorically, the sun is in death in the winter. So the sun is also going through a spiritual process. So the sun has to move away and let the snow. In a way, allow the snow to come. So isn't that a form of detaching from what you want to do and love and want to be yourself, You can't be vibrant all the time, right? So understanding detachment is a healing process, and it's part of the integral aspect of you understanding life on a spiritual level. And the reason why I'm even talking about this topic right now in this season is because we're in the year 9. Every 9 life path, one of the biggest job of a 9 life path, which is the end of the life paths, if they choose and they pass all their lessons which they have to come for a 9, you have gone through all the 1 to the 9. So you are ready, you are completing cycles. You can choose to stay in the spirit world. You don't have to come back. You have to detach. One of the biggest, hardest things to do is to detach from loving someone, detach from making love, detach from, all the joys of physical human existence. So you have to complete cycles. That is not going to help you to set yourself free. And if you don't let detachment, you will be attached to everything. So you will die with everything. And that is a painful process. You don't need to die with every situation and rise from it. Even when you feel like you've gone down the drain, because you've practiced and you've developed some sort of detachment, you find yourself bouncing back. You will find your way back to yourself again. And this is divinity in the practical sense. This is only going to expand you spiritually and make your reality, your life on earth, more simpler for you. Once you learn the act of detachment and actually consciously be aware of it. When is it time to say, okay, it's time to detach? When you start realizing the situation is going to kill you. When you start feeling threatened by everything that you hold so dear in your life. Your principles that make you feel like you're in the right. Or in the wrong, if that's what you bother in. When you start losing yourself, your spirit self, your soul, when you start giving up and like, okay, that's when you have to realize the importance and time to bring in the detachment. And if you're not aware of it, how would you practice it and how would you save yourself from minute things to higher self, to higher stuff? You wouldn't. You will suffer through even the detachment process, whether it's happening to you, whether you like it or not. But if you're in charge and you understand and you program yourself and you've experienced it and you've mastered it, it automatically sets in. It's like a program. That's why you need to reprogram your mind, your subconscious mind. You were born into a situation. You've probably continuing your past life situation in this life. If you don't go through this spiritual awakening, it's liable that you are probably repeating patterns that comes from your past life. Your best bet is to go through spiritual awakening to really see what you need to reset and be on a true mission. That's why it's a blessing for you to be on a spiritual path. So you're not coming back, you're not on the hamster wheel. At least if you know you're on a hamster wheel, but you are on a hamster wheel with a purpose. And you must fulfill that purpose before you move on. The point of me telling you all this for you to understand that the spiritual process of becoming divine is not above you. That's why divinity is in you as well. You are not exempt from it. Somebody came and told you, okay, you are not God. Worship the God outside of you. Yes, there's a place and time for the worshiping of gods outside of you. But before you can even understand the God outside of you, you have to understand the God inside of you to even see the other God. Because let me tell you what, truth be told, if I had not gone through spiritual awakening, I wouldn't really know for a fact that there are gods outside of me, which are other developed beings or entities or not even physical beings, whatever it is. So I'm not saying it's bad to worship a God or not worship gods. What I'm saying to you is we are all divine and we're all learning. There is a time and place for everything. You have to understand that it's not about you to step into all the process that gives you the understanding that you need. The questions you had when you were growing up, at least the questions I had when I was growing up, like who's God? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What's my mission? Why am I going to die one day? Why am I giving birth? Why is birth so painful? Those mysterious questions that we all ponder. What's beyond the skies? What's in space? Are they aliens? All these questions that we can see with the naked eye. In this day and age, the reason why I love this Aquarius age is because it's saying that it's time for you to know and practice your divinity with awareness. Not subconsciously, with awareness, taking charge of it. So you know what program you need at what point you need. It makes your life what? More fulfilling, a little bit easier, less painful, less stressful. You flow better because you understand the process. It's like you being thrown into a place without any direction, without any compass, without any tools, and people expect you to just go with it. When it comes to spirituality, I'm giving you the tools. I have been trying by all the things I've been saying for a while now. I am giving you the tools of what is going to make you gain power of the spiritual part of you through understanding and practicing it. So taking divinity and making it practical for yourself is important. Other than that, what's the point of it? What is the point of having that much power, that much understanding, that much, all of that, and not being able to integrate it and live with it and make it work for you? What's the point? That's why people go for what they can touch, money. Because at least the money will pay their bills. But what if I know how different a million ways of getting to the same thing? And it's not always going to be through some sort of suffering, like I was raised to believe. With my spiritual tools, I know I can do that. So what's the point? Why would you limit yourself to that? Let me move back to my conversation. And like I was saying earlier, before I got to this point here, that detachment goes through the houses. You can see detachment through the 12 different houses, right? Through all the signs. In your birth chart, which is also a spiritual process that you need to, learn if you're on a spiritual path. Literally, understanding your birth chart is one of the biggest tools, fundamental tools. It's like, without it, you can't even breathe, okay? Because it's your compass. So you have somewhere you're going, you have a destination, you have understanding, astrology, right? Your birth chart to see what am I doing here, how do I think, how do I understand, how do I interpret this, how do I, blah, blah, all of that. So by you understanding the way you detach, okay, through understanding your charts, it will help you. It really will. One of the hardest ones is through the relationships, obviously. Loving someone, losing them, and learning to detach from them. A lot of people open spiritual doors through that. So I want to say that one of the ways you can find your process of detachment and integrating it with your spiritual self is to look at where your spiritual, your Neptune is. What sign is it in? What house is it in? I'll also say look at Saturn also. Pluto. If you have 8th house business, 12th house business, if you have any placements in that, it will help you to understand how you're going to be suffering. Because sometimes your detachment is related to your suffering and your learning. Okay? So, yeah, I've been through a lot of detachment processes. In fact, mine started, I'll give you an example. Mine started from the beginning of my childhood when I was even 5. In fact, when I was even in the womb, I was supposed to be on my own even when I was in the womb. Because my parents should forgive me for this, but I have to use this as information to help people to understand how deep detachment can go for some of us and how painful the process can be for some of us. But because we didn't know and we don't understand who we are, we don't know how to break things down on a spiritual level, soul level, mental level, and physical level. So we don't have that deeper understanding to break things down. But here I am, I've been conceived in my mother's womb and both parents don't want me. That is detachment right there. Detachment already happening to me. So they were putting all these emotions of I don't want you inside me whilst I was getting formed. Then I come into the world and they are separated from me. Then my grandparents put me in the boarding house when I was like 5 years old. The process of me learning to detach from my family started from when I was in the womb. So here I am in the womb and I've always been taken away from my family. So I'm bringing this to tell you that my Neptune is in Sagittarius, in the 6th house in my natal chart, which it has moved, it has changed because I have changed and I've grown and transitions have happened. But in my birth natal chart, that is where it is, and it will help you to gain some understanding. Those of you who understand astrology and spirituality on that level. But so this detachment and boarding house throughout my whole life. So I was with my parents, but I wasn't. I was on my own. I had to learn from that time how to detach from my family. And don't forget, what family gives you at that early age is love, companionship, everything. So now if I'm a master of isolating myself, why would anybody be shocked? Nobody should be shocked because it's part of my process. It's part of my process. I've been programmed from the day I was in that belly to detach from everything. From love, from family, from, getting nutrition, good, everything. But my point that I wanted to say is practically family and away from where I was born. What do? Right after high school, when I gain a little adolescent, I marry an American and I leave my country and I stay outside of my country till now. So you want to tell me that my detachment process was not part of my programming? I can choose to see it as the worst thing because there was a point in my life where I saw it as a problem that I had to heal. Abandonment issues from the pit of hell is what I've been going through. It's what I was going through. But now that I understand and I have reawakened and snapped to my factory setting, my God setting, I understand the process. Because at the end of the day, I was in my mother's womb, but I was still on my own. And when I die, and when everybody dies, you are going to go alone. If you refuse to take that breath when you came out, it's over for you. And if you can't hold the breath when the breath is leaving you, so at the end of the day, you're alone. So life path 9s, which I think a lot of you who are life path 9s who would understand what I'm saying on so many levels. You have to understand that your problems, your healing processes, the things that have caused you so much pain is still part of your detachment. Because some of us, it's just through pain. It's just through so much pain to the point that you have no choice but to learn to exist and to learn the act of detachment. Because if you don't detach, you would die. So what's the point of coming? And my punches were hitting me from the moment they put it in me, they came together. That's when the punches started rolling. And that's actually sad when you think about it. All right, let's move on. But you get my point. I know you get my point. So understand where detachment started and where it's located in your charts also. Will all give you understanding. It will all give you understanding. It really will. And a lot of times it's all connected to your spiritual destiny, not just your physical destiny and what you're here to do. See, and you just need to understand it. So detachment is a part of the healing process and part of the integral part of life and death. You get it now? Am I putting the chips where it falls for you to get my point? Yes, I think I'm doing the best that I can, darlings. I think so. It is a freedom too. And I also want to say this. It is a healing tool. Detachment is a healing tool embedded in all of us. And like I said before, it is part of the divine process of spirit. It is embedded in the fundamental core principles of life. So what I'm saying is, what keeps spirit going is part of that. So you need to learn and understand it. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is a healing tool embedded in all of us, because if you don't know how to detach, you get dragged down by everything. And it will weaken you and weaken your soul. I don't know if there's such thing as really killing your spirit. But I'm hearing it, so I'll say, because maybe someone understands that. But me, I don't believe spirit can be killed. Okay? So maybe somebody's saying it and I'm picking it up. But either way, it is a divinity tool, it's a freedom tool, and it's a healing tool above all things. If you get nothing from what I'm telling you, understanding how to be the objective person, the third wheel, which is living in balance through understanding the process of the good and bad in everything that you're dealing with, is setting you apart and putting you in a state of higher mind and higher self and divinity and freedom and all of that. The other side of adaptation is definitely what? Detachment. Because what did I have to adapt to? I had to adapt to being alone and loving myself and doing everything for myself. That's what I adapted to. So one may say, now that I understand my process, I have to learn how to detach from doing everything on my own. You see why I'm a one-man person? What is it a coincidence that I'm an entrepreneur? No, it's not. It's all part of my process. I don't see. There was a time where I used to see this as a bad thing that has caused me, and it did cause me a lot, because I will hop on anybody and anything for love because I lacked it. I was malnourished. However way you want to see this, on so many levels, from physical to spiritual, I was suffering. So understanding detachment and healing this has really brought me out of that. You see what I'm saying? So it sets me free. So what is the point of this conversation, Adjoa? What do I have to gain from this? I don't have to say it anymore. I've said it in expressing everything I've been saying. Because as you're adapting to living with someone, you have to undo, learn the undoing also. So it's a bad idea to jump from one to one, I think. By now you understand that. And if you are good at detachment, maybe you can jump from one to one because you know what you're doing. But what if those who don't know and they are blindly just doing it as a form of, how do you call it, band-aid? That's what people get used to. Then there's a problem, right? So truly understanding is putting you in power. Really, it really is. Okay, it really is. Because other than that, you're always going to find yourself stuck in situations too. Stuck in situations that are not good for you. Obviously, the good is good. But when it gets bad, how do you bring in the balance? Can you handle the bad? Or can you detach from both of them and just experience it as it is and still maintain by removing yourself? And I'm not teaching you to become cold. I'm bothering the lines of being lukewarm or not being any at all. That's the conversation we're having here. The balance, the temperance, okay? So I'm gonna start wrapping up this conversation so I see myself doing a tarot reading, so let's do this. So when it comes to Gemini, people say, oh, most Geminis are confused, or even air signs, period. Libras, Aquariuses, and Geminis. They are not the only ones that, are always stuck in their mind, overthinking everything because of the split mind, right, and all that. Especially in Geminis, they tend to be really thinking two different. They have a side to them, and they have the other side to them, which is the dark and light of their brain hemispheres, as I put it in this essence. It could also mean to the other aspect of you, outside of you. It could be put in so many different contexts. But in this context, where I'm talking about your thinking, your decision making, and learning to detach from it to help you through your pain and through even your strong decision making. Some people lean on going to call the third person, which is the number 3, the third house. I told you that all this information is embedded in our life in a higher way of thinking. You can think through this number 3 and Gemini, the third house, in so many ways to break down situations. So you can look at it. The third wheel is the judge, right? The situation between the defendant and the what's the other one? The opponent, or what? I don't know. The other one, wrong, and the whoever, 2 people fighting and the judge, right? So some people will go outside of themselves to gain the objective look, the other aspect. But in spirituality, you're learning to be the judge. You are. Who's the judge? Judge is God, the goddess. It's part of developing the higher mind, the God sense. Some people get all crazy. Oh, yes, so you got a God complex. I'm also get a devil complex for you. Would that make you happy? Okay, let me get out of my sarcasm. I'm so Gemini right now. But let's look at this. Is it always good to go for the third wheel outside of yourself? If you continue to do the third wheel outside of yourself, you will never grow. You will never grow your divinity. That is why Gemini also represents on the dark side gossip. Because the Gemini can make a decision. Gemini is thinking their thoughts, listening to all the other information coming from the news, and then instead of sitting there and processing it, some of them cannot. And that is, I'm talking about not Geminis, human beings in general. Then they go and find another person and pour it on that person, and trying to still come to a decision and conclusion. And guess what? It becomes a whole bunch of talking and confusion. Even it gets crazier. Once in a while, you get some knowledge and truth from the third person. I'm not going to say it's all bad. But if you're really trying to be that goddess, embrace your divine essence in you and practice the true principles of life and death and who you are as a spirit being, you have to be able to become the third wheel on your own. by yourself in the corner in your couch with the TV on, the TV off, whatever. You have to be able to do it on your own and master it on your own. And when you keep practicing, the more you become good at it. Some people think that running away is the solution. There's a problem, there's contention here, there's this. So the third solution is to run from the situation. Go ahead. You're still running from yourself, from your God essence, from practicing detachment and thinking objectively and tapping into the higher ways your mind can break through a problem. That is why the best CEOs, the geniuses, they don't run. They solve the problem by stepping outside of the problem to see different infinite ways of solving the problem. Who does that? Gods and goddesses. It is the divine mind that does that. It is the third wheel that does that. Not the one that is here and the one that is here. It is the one that is all that solves it. Tapping into it is part of your divine process. And in order for you to tap into that third process, you first have to learn the fundamental spiritual practice of detaching from the pain and the joy that you feel at that moment in time. And that is one big challenge. But it's embedded in you and you can do it because it's part of you. You are a spirit being. You are the soul that is breaking down the situation. In order for that to happen, your ego is gone. Spiritual awakening kills the ego slowly and surely. So you think somebody feeling so good is going to make them obnoxious, is going to go in their head. Or somebody feeling so bad in pain is going to push them in a place where they're going to go down, 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 down and become addictive or become, toxic and bitter and take it out on everybody. What you're not seeing is that a spiritually awoken person is what? Functioning from an objective place, the perspective of the soul, the third wheel, the third mind, the manifestation of the soul living in the physical with the physical being. It's an awakened spirit being that is inside of you that is awoken. So it is two of you. That's why you start seeing things in 2-2, 11-11. Double doubles me. Million times over. I even showed my best friend. How rare is it? Or how do you call it? How common is it for your phone battery to be the same percentage of the time on the phone? How often should that be happening? If you ask me, that doesn't make any sense. It's very rare occurrence, but that is my life. Is because to me that's telling me that my reality inside is my soul is in alignment with my physical essence. My spirit God sense is in alignment with the physical things that I'm doing. So I'm in alignment. I'm on my path. I'm in unison. I'm together with my soul. I'm not split. One is not dead, sleep inside me whilst the other is functioning. That third will, that third mind, that goddess says you becoming the judge of your own character. Either you're going to detach from it using detachment. In this process, we're talking about detachment. Using detachment as a tool to take yourself out of any situation and function on a higher third mind. Who is the biggest person that can detach? Is practicing detachment all the time. Let's say the God that created this universe is. Because God sits there and people and watch, for instance, we're talking about religion, okay? So don't come for me, Christians. I don't care. It's none of my business what you choose to do. Whatever process takes you to your peace is good for you. In my spiritual process, what I understand, I'm using the religion as an example. So they say God created Satan. So Satan is a part of God, right? Okay. Fine. Okay, so then he leaves Satan to come here and be with us on earth to control us now. As they say, this world belongs to Satan, right? And allow Satan to go rampant and mess with people's mind and, tempt them in so many ways so they be in sin and do all the things that God doesn't want. And God is sitting down watching all this go on, allowing people to die, children to die. All this stuff is going on, man. And the creator of it all is watching it go down. Because he said that that's what he's going to do, and that's what he wants to do, and it's his ship. He's going to run it the way he wants it. I want to say this. Isn't God practicing detachment? Because if he was really like attached to the good or the bad of things, Satan will be dead. I want you to think about what I'm saying. Satan would not exist. And you would not be tempted by nothing that's going to put you in pain or anything. But the reason why God is not doing anything to me, from my understanding and spiritual practice, practical spirituality, I'm learning that from the way I'm seeing it, it is detachment. It's a form of coldness too. I'm sorry. You guys have to be honest with you guys. It's detachment. It's like a void. It's zero. Going to number zero. Doesn't have any number attached to it. It's zero. It's nothingness. It's everything and nothingness at the same time. That's spirit. That's God essence. When your kids are with you, you are so attached to them, then you have to learn that they are going to grow up and they leave you, and you have to learn detachment. Isn't that something that God is the master at doing? Because God is allowing everybody and everything according to free will, and here He creating free will for everything to go the way it's going. If you ask me, all I can tell you is, even though I'm not with that aspect of religion, I'm in a different aspect, right? The hidden aspect of religion in a way, spiritual in a way. Now I have the understanding of why I suffer. Why God is sitting there and I'm hungry. Why God is sitting there and this person is harming me. Why God is sitting there. So I solved my own problems by having that understanding, the detachment, and learning and trying to sit in the shoe a little bit, the tip of the iceberg a little bit, to try to understand a little bit of this God shoes, the shoes that I want to wear. Well, I don't want to be my let's say God created me. I don't want to be God, but to understand my father and mother a little bit, I have to understand the tip of their shoes, their footsteps. So with my little so-called human mind, the understanding that I have is that they are practicing detachment on a serious level. It's one of the ways they are doing what they are doing. And that has brought me understanding and peace, and I don't have pain with anything anymore. Because there was a time where if I caught God in the face, I'll punch him. I'm like, pow, pow. Dude, you need to go to hell because you allow too much. That's what I felt like doing at some point in my life. Now, I don't feel that way. I get it. I get it. So, there's nothing more fulfilling than finding your own truth, experiencing it and practicing it so that you can understand yourself and everything that puts you in darkness or in pain or whatever. So, if you want to win and you want to have a less painful existence and a more integral aspect of all of you in this moment right now, because all that matters is right now, not the future, not the past. Right now, what is happening to you? How do you handle your situation right now? What are the tools you can use to handle anything that is holding you back from indecision, money making, healing diseases, loving somebody and still being free within that love and not being codependent. All the things that we want to have in this physical essence. All the ways you can win and not make it so painful, because it seems to have so much pain embedded in all that joy, sadness, and joy working together. Oh, is to learn detachment. Because detachment is the gateway to you infusing your strongest aspect of yourself into this physical weakness of yourself. The strongest spiritual aspect of yourself into this physical weakness of yourself. Okay? So, I think I'm going to jump into it here, my peoples. Like I said, what is detachment? Go and read the Google and learn what detachment. Detachment can be put in all different type of context, but in the spiritual concept, it's one of the fundamental things that you need to learn. You are not your situation. You are not whatever is going on. If you want higher understanding, you have to, in fact, write everything down. All the good, the bad, everything. Put everything on the plane. And now, release it. Once you release it, now tell your soul, what else am I not understanding? What do I need to do? But when you are spiritually awoke, your soul already punches in and takes the seat for you. And the process becomes easier. But if you are not awakened, I'm telling you, this is one of the gateways. That's why you need to start talking to yourself. Don't worry about looking like cuckoo. Start talking to yourself and spending more time with yourself. Trust me, I have been alone from the moment I was conceived in my mother's womb till now. And I understand that it's embedded in the life path 9 that I'm here to complete cycles. And one of the things that I have to do, if I'm not going to come back here again, then I have to learn how to not be married again. I have to learn how to not have sex again. I have to learn how to not, be so attached to the good food on my tongue. I have to learn how to detach from all that stuff. Do you get me? Yes, you do. You understand where I'm going with this. So in this year, a lot of people are learning to separate themselves from things that are holding them down, that are becoming toxic for them, that is making them codependent, that is making them feel trapped in themselves. They are completing cycles that are unhealthy for them on all different type of levels. If you are in this year, we're all experiencing a form of detachment on so many different levels. People are cutting off things that are making them codependent, addicted to stuff, things that are not helping them and making them feel like they can't breathe. Whether it be relationship to job, to whatever that is human that you need, that has become something that is weighing you down. A lot of you are naturally releasing yourself from those clutches. So there's a mass completion of ending of bad cycles happening on so many levels for humanity, especially those who are under the umbrella of understanding the spiritual process, the number frequencies. Let me say that. Let me put that in quotes as well, because a religious person is not thinking about me, even though thinking of what I'm saying, even though it may be happening to them unconsciously. The difference is they are not aware. The awoken person is aware of what is happening on a spiritual level, energetic level, frequency level, whatever level is going on. Something is dying. Something is getting removed from your life. Something is coming to an end. And it also depends on, your personal life number too. But on average, there is some endings going on. And that ending is really about detachment. It's really about detachment. That's what's going on. It is not easy. It's one of the hardest processes to attain for spiritual growth and divine assistance and understanding in your psyche. Like I said, it's very delicate. From the way I started and the way I've ended, I hope you understand me, my people. And it is what it is. And like I said, we're not talking about detaching and becoming a cold-blooded person. But talking about the real process of removing yourself from pain by understanding and understanding and understanding anything, not just pain, decision making, wherever you need this detachment, however it's coming to you in your life, whatever house is coming through, whatever sign is connected to. You can only handle what you are aware of. What you're not aware of, what you are unconscious of that is happening to you in your life, it stays in the dark and it becomes silently an enemy in a way, or it eats at you and you are just a slave to it. If you awaken to yourself, you're not a slave to yourself anymore. You're not a zombie to your life. Life is not happening to you. You are living your life. A lot of people say, I'm living my life the way I want it. No, sir. Most of you are just seeing it. If you look at it, well, you may be living your life the way you want it, but take it to the spiritual level. Take it higher, in a higher echelon, and see, is it really, are you really in charge? If you are, then kudos to you. I love you, and I'm happy for you. You have to learn detachment. Go and research it. Get more information. Do what you have to do. But I will not teach anything that did not help me to become this person that I am, to step into my divinity without worrying about what anybody thinks. I don't engage in gossip because my gossip is happening in my head. I don't need 3 people to come to a decision. I don't need even the second person. If I do that, I'm having fun. And I trust you. And I've noticed that we have the same pattern. And I'm not thinking outside of myself when I do that. But that is still not a practice that I do every single time. And some of you, some of us, cannot come to a decision where there's 0 without a third mind, without a third wheel. I hope not, because I don't want to talk down on anybody and I don't want to sound like I am. I'm helping and trying to help us understand, or maybe let's take the help out. I'm being of service by telling you my experience, telling you what works for me, what is still working for me. Hallelujah. Okay, somebody say praise God, even though it's not about it. Love you all. I'm praising the God inside me and the God outside of me. All of it. Praise it to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not easy to be in that position. Alright. It's about making this easier. I'm a healer. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say to you? Things that will make heal. Some people think being a healer is just about knowing the herbs. Yes, there's a video I will do that I will teach you certain herbs. I can use herbal healing. I know herbs for different things, right? But knowing thyself and message information is also healing. If you choose to see it that way. Yeah. Alright. I love you all. I'll see you in my tarot reading. I think I'm just going to go with whatever comes. And I might still talk about the channeled information. Because I channeled it for you. So let's do it. Love you all. See you there. Bye.